Welcome back, everybody, to Cool Times Podcast. Joining you is my lovely wife and business partner, Jenna Free. I am Vince Free, and thank you guys for joining us. We have an awesome podcast today. Super stoked to have our good friend on the show. This gentleman entered was born into it, but entered the cold storage construction industry in 1992. He has climbed his way up to the top of the ladder, I would like to call it. He recently was at Choate Construction and moved on. Now is the vice president of national programming for Stream Realty. We are excited to learn more about Bill's story here. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Moultrie. How are you, Bill?
Hey, I'm doing great. Good
Thanks
afternoon.
for joining us.
Yeah. How are things in the new digs?
We're working on it. It's a work in progress. Thank you for joining us for our first podcast from our new office.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's not even
my
technically.
It's my first podcast from Stream, so
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, good.
You're darn right.
This is the first time you and I have met.
yeah.
You two have known each other for a long time now. So why is that we haven't met yet?
Well, it's funny. We've known each other for a long time, but only worked together for a short amount of time. So during my time at Choate, when I was brought on board to help them kind of grow their food, beverage, cold storage space, I kept seeing Vince and, what he was doing with Freeze Construction. And I was like, I think he's a competitor, and I didn't call and felt like it was, and man, what a huge mistake. So, he and I.
Bill, literally one of my beginning, when we formed the company, one of my biggest things I wanted to make people aware of was to avoid that one thing and tell people we are not general contractors. So literally on our website, we had a line that said, thermal subcontractors. And then that was it. Like one of our taglines is we are thermal subcontractors. Like I even said we were subcontractors, and you weren't the only one that thought, hey, is Freeze Construction and GC, are they competitors? Oh, geez.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that, so we finally had a chance to chat, and, he set me straight and said, read what's there, and finally had a chance to work with him on a job over in Kenosha, and he did everything he said he was going to do, just a great experience. And so, like I said, we've known each other kind of in the marketplace for forever, but
Sure.
only had a chance to really work together on one project so far. So, and the key word there is so far. So we look forward to doing more with you guys.
I like it.
I love it. And I'm excited about your new opportunity at Stream. And we're going to get more into your background and what you're doing at Stream. Like, if I would have read your intro of your history, because you've been doing this so long and your resume is insane, you're insanely talented. It would have taken me 15 minutes to read your bio. Seriously.
There's a lot of accomplishments.
There's a lot of accomplishments. Totally. So,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I know. And we want to get into a little bit more about what you're doing at Stream. And we're excited to talk about Stream today as well, because you're recently new there, right? And if I'm not mistaken, they're a privately held real estate company, and they're entering this market, and they're like, we need Bill Moultrie because he knows cold storage, and is that how they scooped you up? Or tell us a little bit about that.
It's pretty close. When I saw you last in Wisconsin, I was riding high, loving Choate, loving everything about it. And, I'm older, I'm 52. I don't mind saying, and I was not looking for a change, and, but I've always been intrigued with kind of the broker developer side of the table. And I love the go-get of projects, putting deals together. I've always been a part of fully integrated businesses. So Choate was the first pure general contractor I've ever worked for, but, we made it work, and was riding high and really enjoying the growth of what we were doing at Choate. And then, the phone rang, and it was like, yeah, hey, we at Stream, we want to be more intentional about the cold storage market. We obviously know it's growing, and it needs more investments. It needs more facilities. Would you be interested? And, Joe Ayatora, who I'm, connected to, we were connected on another project together during his time with another company. And, he just, put together a really good opportunity. And he's, it's not just me within this national program management group. We got folks that are focused on distribution, big box manufacturing. We've got, decommissioning of facilities, food and beverage. And I really get to focus on what I love, which is the cold storage piece, and I will be connected to my counterpart, Tom Porter, on the food and beverage side, because you guys all know any food and beverage project for the most part has some cold storage component. So Stream's been around since '96. So this is a new venture for them into the kind of the program management space and going after more. For me, I'll just keep talking about cold storage, but
Sure.
it's obviously, as mentioned, it's more than that. But I love cold storage, been doing it my whole life. And so when they saw something in me, I got excited, and I started here in December of last year. So very little time under the belt. So
That's okay. And now, and this space for real estate and development for cold storage, there's a lack of cold storage space available to rent. Many of the older buildings, many of the buildings that are cold right now are probably due for a tear down, rebuild, renovation, if you will, right? And I read an article, within the last 12 months, that CBRE, when they looked into this space, it was going to grow by 256% in the next 4 to 5 years, right? So,
I think.
So is that, what are you seeing right now in the industry for this space?
Well, it's to make a move, I had to sense of, the numbers were real. And, since I've been here, I'm able to kind of peek behind the curtain that I've never been able to peek behind before.
That's why I asked you this question. I want to know what's behind the curtain.
Yeah. So you can't be taking notes now. So
put your pen down.
This is also recorded.
Yeah, that's right. So
share what you're comfortable sharing.
No, I'll share that all those numbers. You can pick a flavor of the day. All I can tell you, it's a lot. Stream has mostly done more speculative type development before on the the retail space and industrial space, and we do a lot in data centers. We're probably going to be a little bit more intentional and more build to suit type opportunities, but there is also still a big movement of going after more spec cold storage opportunities, and finding that sweet spot of where you get the job to stop until maybe you can figure out who that tenant might be. So I'm not going to say that's not where the direction that we're going, but we're definitely trying to find more of the end user immediately. Maybe it's an end user that has never followed that model before. Maybe they've always owned their own facilities, and now that they have to grow so fast, maybe speed to market's going to be better to start to work with a stream and help us. We can put deals together. And the good thing about the marketplace is I don't think not all one firm can do it all. Just like a general contractor, there's just too much work out there for everybody. So there'll be probably some firms and partners on the broker developer side that we may compete with one day, and maybe on the next job, they're finding a way to put money into the deal as well. But I think the attraction to Stream, to leave a great company like Choate, was that I want to be a part of putting these deals together, because I do believe that the market is grossly underserved right now.
Yes.
And with the supply chain and, COVID and the whole Amazon effect that's out there, I'm really excited about where I'm sitting, and excited about this will be what I'll be doing to, kind of finish up my career. I've always been intrigued with this side of the table. So the numbers are big. That's all I can tell you, Vince.
Well, I think that's why we wanted to start the Cool Times podcast, was to provide a platform for people like you to share their story of how they entered the industry, why they stayed in the industry, but also talk about this space because it's so niche. And we love having guys like you on, because, it's just different, right? So speaking of how you got into the industry.
Yeah. I think that's not a lot of people know about our industry. That's one of the reasons Vince said, like, we started this podcast. And so I guess I always like to learn people's stories. Like I love, like when we started dating, learning about how he got in. It was a very random experience for him, but I think everyone has a really like cool story about how they got in, and maybe they don't think it's cool, but we think it's cool. So would you be willing to share how you got in, and maybe, I don't know.
I also want a cool story that you can share this.
Well, we'll
'Cause
get
you-
to that. We'll get to
Yeah,
that.
Yes.
I can do that. So I
Okay.
can say I'm probably one of the few that was born into the industry.
Okay.
So, growing up, I'd spent a lot of time. My dad he was with a company called Carlson for a long time.
Wow.
And they were based out of Boston, and he was, working with them for forever. And I would travel with him to different job sites, and I just, I enjoyed it, but I didn't
Mhm.
want to do it for a living. It was just fun, being on a
Okay.
job site.
Sure.
And it's very similar to the podcast you guys did, last week with Dean's son. I wanted no part of working for the old man. Just, I wanted to play tennis and go to job sites, and it was really cool. But hey, no thanks.
Mhm.
So, I went to college and had a chance to play tennis, and thought, okay, well, after college, hey, I'll play tennis and I'll coach. And I ended up being a college coach for a year. And I think that first year I made $10,000 coaching full time. And I was also a resident director in a dorm. And I thought, you know what, this is going to be a hard way to make a living,
Yeah.
$10,000 a year. And I met my wife, Cindy, at Erskine College.
Okay.
And, my dad kept, son, just try it. Just
Mhm.
come, you've always had the lenses of looking at it as my son and not as an employee. And, I think you would really like it. So we had a job for Brookshire Brothers Groceries in Lufkin, Texas. You guys might know that. And, it was just one of those jobs where, a lot of times, the owner can determine how long you may want to stay in an industry, or maybe a superintendent or a project manager, how they treat you. So here I am, the owner's kid, coming out to a job site, and just a wonderful experience. The client was great. We had great subs, great partners. Superintendent cared about me, made me earn my keep, and
Yep.
pushed me. And, I just like, man, this is awesome. You get addicted to the sounds of a construction site, and, the everything about. I'm not a huge fan of the Porta John still, but I do enjoy the construction rhythm. Looking at something on a paper blueprint and then watching it get built. And I loved the market. Had a chance to work on the job for Ingalls, and then I had a chance to move overseas within the cold storage space. Actually worked on a pet food project. So
Sure.
don't want to go too much down into the weeds, but
That's crazy.
I got pulled into it because my dad owned, facility group, and, kept pushing me to give it a go. And man, what a huge mistake that would have been not to have listened, to my dad,
Right?
and stay the course, because, it just, I'm still doing it today. So
That's
I love
awesome.
this. I love this market, and, commend you guys for wanting to promote it more.
Do you think it was that first experience then on that job in Levkin that you were like, yeah, I'm going to stay here.
Mhm.
I'm
Well,
going to
it's
stay here.
funny. I wonder what it would have been like if I would have not liked the owner,
Mm.
not liked, the project manager and the superintendent, but it was just a great experience. But I can't lie. I've probably, I've been doing this 30, 35 years, if not more. And, very few bad experiences, along the way. There's always bumps in the road
Sure.
in the market. But no, I loved everything about it. And it was a cold storage project. It was a freezer, cooler, had ice making, had banana rooms. It was just a little bit of a touch of everything that I do now. And I have a book at home of all the photos that I took, just because I wanted to learn everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I still have it, and I still look back at it.
That's
I think,
amazing.
I think the pictures used to shoot out of, used to shake it to see the photo.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
I
But,
know what those are.
but no, I just, I love that project. And I'll be honest, I think if it would have been a different style project, I don't know that it would have caught my attention.
Sure.
It was something about walking into a -10 freezer.
Mhm.
it'll take your breath away, literally.
Sure
and
does.
It will, it'll
Might say,
make
yeah.
it, if you love that type of environment, you can do anything. So
I love that you said that too. The sounds of a construction site,
Mhm.
because it's so true.
yeah,
And then the portal potty
yeah.
turns everything around the other way.
Yeah, well, I was going to say sounds and smells, but I decided to not go
Well,
down
the
left
that
that
smell,
road.
part
I
out.
mean, it's,
But there is good
I've read some of the
smells.
funniest things I've ever read in my life on the walls of a porta potty, though, on a construction job site.
Yeah, we
I
used
don't
to
know
have
if
a
I wanna go there.
superintendent. Yeah,
Yeah.
there used to be a superintendent that used to work with me at Choate, said, you're doing a good job as a superintendent when you see your name written poorly in the Porta John.
Yep.
It means that you're pushing them.
Wow.
The best thing I've ever seen on a portal, I don't know why we're getting into this, but this is funny. So the best thing I've ever seen on a portal, John, is going to the bathroom and I look to my left and on the wall is written, on the wall, it says, look right. So I'm like, I fall for it. I look to my right and it says, look left. I'm like, son of a,
Yeah.
and I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
You would fall
I mean,
for that.
I've read many other vulgar things, but I won't go down that road. But I fell for the look left, look right thing. Okay.
So I guess since you have had such a long career in this industry specifically, do you feel like there was like a cool moment you've had that really stands out for you? You're like, yeah, that like, this is a cool place to be. This is cool what we do.
Once again, you have to always have your eyes open and your ears open as well. And I remembered it was 96. The Olympics were coming to Atlanta. And at the time, Facility Group was doing a lot of work for IME's pet food. And they were getting ready. We were doing all their process design here in the States, and they wanted to do their first manufacturing facility over in the Netherlands. And I came home to Cindy and I said, hey, man, we got this great job in the Netherlands. And, like I said, we just built a house and trying to settle down. And she's an entrepreneur at spirit. I can see you two are just alike, like Cindy and I. She just loves adventures and getting involved. And she said, can we go? And I said, well, I don't know. I said, why would we want to go? We're getting settled. She said, look into it. So I went back to the office and, asked more questions. I said, yeah, we need to put together a team to head over there. And so I can say the coolest thing is working in the construction industry in another country, another language, different subs. At that time, there was no, euro. You had multiple currencies.
Oh my God.
So I was assistant project manager, but I focused more on cost control and managing some of the subcontracts. And I don't know, just standing back and looking at this, at that time, it was $120 million plant. That's even big today.
Yes.
And
it is.
just being really proud of, watching
Was that in pesos or in what currency is that 120
Oh
million?
my gosh.
That would be US dollars. But
Got it.
at that time, it was the Dutch guilder that we were working with. But, and you stand back and you're proud of what you've done, getting
Yeah.
a pet food facility online, you're living overseas, you're trying to do it the good old red, white, and blue way, but yet respect that you're in another country and
Mhm.
how they put their projects together. So for me, people ask me, what's the highlight, job of your career? And I still have it on my desk here it's like a little shovel, that I have on my desk that reminds me of that project that, if I would have not listened to my dad, not listened to my wife, I probably would be in the Porta John business. So, so at this day, that was a job I'm most proud of.
That's
And,
awesome.
getting that project built. So that's when I knew that I was in a cool market. So,
Mhm. Very
Love
neat.
it.
Very neat. Awesome. Awesome.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about when we were getting ready to set you up on this podcast. I said, hey, how do you want to be introduced? And you're like, man, I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before. If you can go on the Stream website, they did a nice write-up for me. I'm like, yeah, that's a good write-up on you. But I was like, man, I want to know more about you. And then you sent me a badass resume and I'm going through the resume. Recognized as top 20 under 40 rising stars in Cobb Life magazine. Dude, we got a superstar in our hand here.
you can definitely tell.
What's
that's
up,
been
man?
You can definitely tell I'm not under 40 anymore.
But that's
or maybe it's time to update the resume.
tell me about
but
that's still a badass achievement, by the way. When you make
Yeah.
any magazine, top whatever, under whatever, I can tell you I've never had any of that. Tell me what was that for?
Well, it was just, Cobb Life magazine, so Cobb County is where Facility Group was located. And so, at that point, I had a chance to, live overseas. I went back, after the IMES project and, ran our European operations for about 5 more years. So I don't know, maybe it was just that I had a chance to live overseas and people thought that was cool, or maybe they were desperate for people to nominate. I don't know, to me, it was neat. It was nice to be recognized. And then, going back and taking a look at some of the other folks, that were nominated. I was the only one kind of within the construction industry. So that was kind of neat.
Yep.
So all the criteria, I couldn't really tell you, it was neat to get picked, and then you
Yeah.
fill out the form and then to get selected.
That's
That was pretty neat.
That's a cool achievement. So, fast forward to 2022 and you're a big shot at Stream now. Let's talk Stream. I want to know more about, Stream. And, if let's say I'm ABC Foods and I'm looking to build something, this is your opportunity to sell yourself in the company. Picture me as, I'm ABC Foods and I want to build something. Why would I come to Stream, and why would I buy from Bill Moultrie?
Yep. Well, I'm still working on the lingo. That's for sure. When you're at a place, you work for a design build firm or a general contractor, you're definitely used to a different type of go get. It's typically, hey, here's an RFP, or I got a need. And, one thing I've seen that's been changing during my career is that there more people are starting to kind of move away from their model, where it used to be, hey, we always own it, or we used to always lease it. So at Stream, they've been around since '96, privately held commercial real estate company, headquartered in Dallas. We've got 15 offices. They're don't want to get too much into their broker developer. That's
Sure.
a little bit too much of a commonly used phrase, but they are looking for opportunities to get outside of just what they've been doing inside industrial and retail and data centers. And they recognized the cold storage market was underserved.
Yeah.
So they wanted to start a new group to go after different verticals. So we've started a group called the National Program Management Group. So it's a nice, add-on to what Stream does in the commercial real estate side. And I think probably most of your listeners are going to know what commercial real estate is. But in this side, it'll give us an opportunity to invest in projects, be the developer for the projects. We'll be able to go out and acquire land for cold storage projects. We want to go after more build-to-suits. So to Mr. ABC customer, it's really sitting down with him and identifying, do they want to lease it? Do they want us to own it? They want us to put it together for them. They want us to acquire the land. You want us to own the building. So a lot of it with, you, Mr. Customer, is just listening to what your needs are and figuring out. But at the end of the day, we would love to, put the deal together, bring the team together. And that's what I love about, this market is the go get, bringing an architect, an engineer, bringing either a design build firm or specialty general contractor to the table. But, we're not a general contractor. I'll be clear. We definitely want to be a part of getting something built, but we want to, be a part of the asset.
So are you, so if you're going to build something for somebody, that you gave a perfect segue to my next question. Are you hiring design build GCs? Are you partnering with them for the client, or what's that look like? Are you advising the client who to hire?
It's going to vary on every job. We've got some that are now already in the chute that, we're going to help that client lease a facility that, is already being built. We've got some land acquisitions that we control that, we'll be able to say, hey, this could be a good opportunity in a certain state, certain city, to be able to say, hey, cold storage, company, here's a great place, that could be a good fit for your end users and where you want to move product from. So we definitely are excited about that opportunity.
That's awesome. If people want to partner with you, they want to learn more about what Stream's doing for cold storage specifically, how do they get in touch? How do they find you guys?
So, we're starting all of our, kind of added, brochures, getting the
Mhm.
story out.
Sure.
So we've only been doing this for 6 months.
Wow.
So I think I'm team member number 3. We have another team member starting in February. It's going to be focused more on kind of decommission of existing facilities. So a lot of it is, the Joe Itora, who I'm working with, he always describes himself as he's the gas pedal, I'm the brake. And I've always enjoyed that terminology because he's just kind of the go get, he's the guy that pulled me into Stream and I love going after work. I'm not a patient person. So at this point we've been kind of working together to make sure that, when we go after the marketplace, we're doing it in a controlled fashion. We've got the story right. So I'd say over the next several months, you'll start to see more of an ad campaign to the marketplace and social media and getting to trade shows and starting to talk more to, clients that I have, obviously built for before.
Yeah.
But Vince, I'm still convinced that, firms like yourself and even other general contractors or
Mhm.
design build firms may have a line of sight of certain projects, and maybe the thing not allowing those projects to move forward is land or
Mhm.
money.
Sure.
And so at that point, Stream will have the ability to be a part of providing that. We're never going to be 100% owner. We're always going to have a partner as we put our deals together. It's just typically how we've done things. But I'd say be close attention over the next several months. It'll start to be a little bit more of a common theme of what we're doing.
Very cool.
Awesome.
And are
I'm
you
excited to
guys
see it.
totally? And are you guys going to trade shows this year? Or can we find Stream at any trade shows?
So I'm going to walk IPPE, kind of the poultry show here in Atlanta.
Okay.
So we'll be walking around. I've never been a huge trade show person, even during my career. I'll go to a few. I'd say probably the first year, it's really just kind of getting the pitch, going to those key accounts that we've identified that have a need. And that's probably where we'll spend our time. And then I think once we get a few projects and investments under our belt, get a few assets in the ground, then I think we might, get a little bit more intentional with more some trade shows and being more specific. But right now, I'd say the first 12 months is just kind of getting the pitch ready and let's get some projects moving. And then after that, we'll probably focus on some more trade shows.
Sure. There you go. Well, I mean, this is going to be a boring question then. What if you don't like trade shows, but we were going to ask you what your favorite trade show is that you go to
Well, I mean, I can
or have been
say,
to.
yeah, I mean, I can say that the IPPE has always been one of my favorites.
Mhm.
Selfishly, I get to sleep in my own bed. It's here in Atlanta. It's here all the time.
Mhm.
It's not 100% cold storage, but it's got a lot of food aspects to it. I think it really was more the poultry show at one
Sure.
time,
Sure.
but it's always been a show. I feel like I've been able to have people come into my home market. I've been
Wow.
able to entertain them.
Yeah.
Once again, I know where to go and so I
And
think
when is that show? When is that show?
it's typically always in January.
Always in
Okay.
January. Okay.
Mhm.
So by the time this podcast airs, it's probably going to be over.
No, I think it's the last week in January, I think is when this show is.
Yeah, there you go.
Good,
Awesome. Well,
good.
that's cool.
Well, I have a question, and I like this question, especially with your experience in the industry. Like, because we're not known very widely, what do you think are some of the common misconceptions you've encountered in your career about cold storage or what we do? Like, for example, sometimes that question's confusing, but for example, like Vince, when we first started dating, he was selling the cold storage doors, and people were like, "You sell garage doors?" So I just noticed that there's been a lot of that.
Mhm.
And I'd be interested to hear if you've encountered any of that in your career.
Well, I think the biggest misconception is that I thought Vince was competition, but
Come on.
sometimes I think people get lost in, the numbers. Vince touched upon it. How big the market is, but it is so small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows everybody. And listen, if you don't take care of a sub, you don't take care of an owner. Cold storage for sure, they're going to end up someplace else, and it's either going to be really good for you because you did your job and you took care of them, or it's going to be bad because you did the opposite. So I think the misconception is people think this market is just massive. And listen, it's a big market, no doubt about it, but it is still small as it gets to people know everybody.
I can speak to that, Bill, because when you finally hired me to do one of your jobs. So we did that awesome job together, and dude, you hit the nail on the head, because as a subcontractor, you are pulled in many different ways, and you sometimes have tough conversations, whether it's about change orders or schedule, but man, dude, you took great care of us. And I remember that. And then when something would come up, because you've taken such good care of us, or maybe you didn't, really get into the, if it was a, couple $1,000 change order, like, yeah, you're good, don't worry about it. And it basically, as a subcontractor, we wanted to run through a wall for you guys. Mm-hmm. So if there is anything that came up that we could help you out with, I'm like, hey, Bill had my back. I'll never forget that. We're going to do this, and that. And don't worry about it. We got it covered. We're going to make sure you're taken care of. And I remember doing that on a couple of occasions on our job together. And I mean, you went out of your way to work with us, and you had strong opinions about what products you wanted to use on the job. You paid more money for certain products because of your relationships. And I think that goes a long way, because it paid off, because, the person you wanted to use for the panels, is a good friend of yours. And when it came to deliveries and things of that nature, we got our way because you paid more money for something, and because you knew what you're going to get. And anyways, that was a long circle.
I mean,
it's a little winded, but
a little winded, but yeah,
it's such, I said it before. It's just it's a relationship. I mean, it is. And, I'm definitely more like my dad than I'm different. I think, you got to take care of people. You got to, everybody everything needs to, as best as it can, it needs to be a win-win. You got to find a solution to a problem. And, it can't always be, and I learned a lot of it in the Netherlands. It can't always be the red, white, and blue way, and you can't always win. A lot of times you got to make some concessions.
Yes.
And I would rather, not be as, financially sound on a project and keep a relationship.
Yes.
Than to make all the money in the world and, hey, we'll never work with that customer again. I think that is so short-sighted. And, that's one thing I've seen in the marketplace with a general contractor or a sub with a sub, whatever. It's just, and, life in general, you got to treat people nice, and
totally,
and a couple of things, one other thing to say about Stream, their core values is smart, honest, nice, and passionate. And those were things that were, that definitely how I try to run my life. Do I do it all the time? No. Am I perfect? No. Do I make mistakes? Absolutely. Atlanta traffic brings out the worst in you, but
yes, I'm sure.
Those are core values that, connected with me, and that's how I've always tried to, to work with Vince, but it works both ways. But you also want to work with people that you like.
That's true.
And at the end of the day, if you want to work with people and they do good work, but you don't like them, I don't know. I'd rather work with people that you really like and figure out a way to be successful together.
And there's a trust there. I think you develop a trust with the people that people that you like, you can depend on them.
Yeah,
that matters.
No doubt.
That matters.
And this is a market that, when mistakes are made, if Vince doesn't do his job from a thermal envelope perspective, or the refrigeration systems are not where they're supposed to be, and the client's already taken ownership of the building, Vince, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a nightmare. To go in and be knocking out ice and messing up their supply chain and how they move product. And
people talk about it too, man. People like to gossip in this industry. A lot of gossip, and
there is.
People will try to tell everyone what's going on, and whether it's right or or wrong or truthful or not, people talk.
Yeah. So this is a marketplace for sure. You got to do it right the first time. So
yeah, totally. And you know what? People like you, and circling back, people make mistakes. So if there's a problem on the job site, how are you going to fix that? How are you going to show up? How are you going to repair an issue if there is an issue? finish strong, right? Always do the right thing. And
Yeah.
that's it. I mean,
Absolutely.
so to Jenna's point, on how to find you guys, do you, Bill, do you have any type of like social media platforms or Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter? Are you doing anything to promote yourself and Stream, or people just go to Stream's website, or how can we find Bill Moultrie?
Well, I'm not a big Facebook. I'm not a Twitter guy. I love LinkedIn. I
Okay.
think LinkedIn is a great tool. I think it's a great way to, stay connected to the marketplace, follow your favorite podcast.
Hey, why'd you
We'll
air
Venmo
quote
you later.
that?
We'll Venmo you later.
Why'd you have to air quote that?
So LinkedIn for sure, have a strong presence on LinkedIn. Our Stream Realty Partners website is good. It's going to have a lot of information about our national program management. I know that Stream does a lot in other verticals in the way of social media,
Sure.
but for me, the best place is probably, go to LinkedIn and look me up, and that's the best place to start.
Beautiful.
I like it.
Awesome.
I like it.
Well, we're getting down to, before we get into our last segment, which is one of my favorites. Do you, anything else you want to share about yourself or the company at all? Anything we're missing? Anything you want to, life advice?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the good thing about Stream also is that, we're in 15 states. So I've always been, focused more on a lot of projects in the South. And
Okay.
so now
Okay.
I have a little bit more of a national platform. We have got offices on the West Coast. We have offices on the East Coast. And
Nice.
so it gives me a little bit more of, bandwidth to go after project opportunities and help our clients and wherever they want to be. Because, for a fact, cold storage is going to end up, at strange places sometimes.
Yes.
And,
We do know
so,
this.
so I think that's another strong platform and, for Stream that I haven't had before.
Yeah.
That's another thing I think it's going to make the go get easier.
I love it. Awesome.
Well, we are excited to see what's to come.
Yeah, we're excited definitely for the future for Stream and for you. All right. So I hope you came prepared for my final favorite segment, the
Great.
cool rapid round questions.
Look at the time. Sorry, I'm gonna have to.
These are fast. It'll be painless.
Either ors.
Yeah.
All right.
And right now, this is brought to you by Freeze Construction. This is our favorite moment here. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. It's either or. Okay.
Okay.
I know you are a Georgia Tech guy, and it was painful for you to watch Georgia win. So I'm going to go the other direction and ask you. You got to pick one. You got to pick one. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I can't say pass. Is that right?
No.
You can't.
No
You have
passes.
to pick one. Okay. You ready
All right.
for this?
Let's
Okay.
do it.
All right. Alabama or Clemson?
Clemson. My wife's a Clemson girl, so
Oh, I love it.
that. Well, see, that was too easy then.
yeah.
Okay. From a cold storage construction side, you prefer box and box or ground up?
Ground up.
Ammonia or Freon refrigeration?
Oh, I'm gonna make half the audience very mad and half the we're all creatures of habit. I've just always been an ammonia guy. It doesn't mean that CO2 is not getting my interest and some other things that are out there, but ammonia.
Okay. Ammonia. Love it. Love it. Are you a cold beer or cold drink guy?
Not a big drinker. I'm a cold drink guy.
Okay. Okay. Coming from the tennis world, Andre Agassi or Pete Sampras?
Agassi.
I love it, dude. Me too, man. I love it. All right. Let's see here. Ping pong or air hockey?
I'm a tennis player. Ping pong.
We're getting a ping pong table in our office. And when you visit Dallas corporate, you best bring your butt down here and play me.
All right. 10-4.
All
I'll
right,
be ready.
love it.
I'm ready now.
Okay.
Very competitive.
Last question. I don't know if you ever heard of these two people, but you got to pick one, Justin Bieber or Justin Timberlake.
And that hurts. I mean, I'm not 90. Justin Timberlake. Absolutely.
Very cool.
I don't think anybody's gonna pick Justin Bieber. So
This one's conflicted
Man,
sometimes.
no. The Biebs is definitely, he stepped up.
Oh boy, here we go.
That's awesome. Well, those are the only questions I have. Jenna, you got anything?
No, I'm all set, baby.
Awesome. Well, Bill, dude, you're a stud. Thank you so much for joining us here. You guys can find our podcast on all the social medias platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We will be showing little 60-second clips of our shows. And then if you want to watch the full show, you can go to YouTube. If you go to YouTube, make sure, Bill, you too, go to YouTube, subscribe to our show. Please. And everyone out there listening, subscribe, hit that red button. And then for listening in your car, go ahead and you can listen to us on Apple iTunes or podcast, the podcast app on Apple. So
yeah, and we have all of our videos also on our new website, which is
the new website that we recently launched is cooltimespodcast.com. You can find our work there as well. So Bill, thank you once again.
Thank you, Bill.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate being asked. I appreciate what you guys are doing.
All right. All right. Till next time, guys.
Take care.
Take care.